Thank you for watching this video on our master vendor list. When you open your spreadsheet, you will be on the Settings tab. Then you will have two other tabs on this spreadsheet. One says Master Vendor List and one is for your helpful information. So let's go over the options that we have on the Settings tab. The first option you see is All Vendors. As you notice, there's a drop down arrow here and you can click that, so you can bring in all vendors, and you can bring in all vendors and the status. You can have active and inactive, or you can drop down here and you can select all your vendors that are active only or all your vendors that are inactive only. So for purposes of this video, I'm going to leave it to active and inactive. Okay, and then under the options, we can do all vendors. We can select our drop down and see the other options that we have. If you are a Sartox customer, you could bring in all your vendors and exclude your employees. If you're any customer, you can use the option by first letters in name. So if you select this option, then you can come here and you just enter in the letters of the vendor's name, of how it would start. So you could type in every company, for the example, that started with the word "the," like the best company or the math company. Okay. Another option that's really good is the name contains option. So maybe you just know somehow the vendor, it has the word supply in their name, so you could just put supply. You could put anything you wanted here. If you knew, say you were looking for a florist or something, you could do flor, F-L-O-R, bring all those in, or you knew that their name, say they were a hardware store, you could bring in something like that. So this is a very good option that we have here. You could select to bring in vendors from a particular zip code or two, and you can change these to be any zip code you want. You can bring them in by state, by city, vendors paid this year and vendors paid last year. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to select back all vendors, and then we're going to go, and what you would do would be click your Refresh Data tab. When you do that, of course, the data is going to be pulled off your financial software, and it will be pulled into this tab here that says Master Vendor List. So I'll just go over our basic things on our spreadsheets. You have your filters on off button. So the filters on off, as you notice, beside each heading there is a little filter. So if you have come in and you have filtered for something, say we just came in and said we wanted to see these first two customers, okay, or say we wanted to see several of them, but we only wanted to see ones that had an alternate address. Okay, see, we've put two filters on, and so instead of having to go unfilter both columns, you could just say filters on off. And when you click it, they'll go away, and all your data will come back, and then you can just put your filters back on, and then they're back available to you to filter for any column that you want. We have our subtotal buy box. We have two subtotals for our vendor list. I'm going to sort this by vendor name, and then I'm going to come up and say I want to do subtotals by vendor name. So you simply click that, and then it will give you a list, and you can see your vendors listed here, and then the totals with POs outstanding, paid this year, and taxes withheld. That's the information that button will give you. And of course, like any of our subtotal buttons, you have the options here. If you click the 1, it will just give you this grand total, and then this would break it down by vendor, and then 3 gives you the details. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on number 2. You can also filter here if you want to filter, but once you're finished with this, you can just click the Remove Subtotals button, and it will remove all those subtotals for you. Okay. Then we have the Helpful Information button here that will take you to your Helpful Information tab. When you do that, you'll get this little box that shows you how to use the Helpful Information tab. I'm just going to close this. So you can use your search box. You can use topics that we've already given you. You can put back the original view. You can also just click here and just use your arrows and go down and see each option, and it'll talk, show you each thing that we have helpful information on this tab. So here I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to return. So it will take me back over to my Master Vendor List tab. This is where all the data is. And then we have our show hide box. We have an original view button. So if you do different things, like you say you unhide some things, or um, um, you just can't see what you want to do, or it doesn't look like it did when you first came into the spreadsheet, just click your original view button and it'll bring everything back in like it was. If the box is checked, that means we're already showing it to you. So this 1099 vendor column, you can see it's over here on the side, and we've already listed it for you. If you do not want to see it, simply just uncheck that and it'll go away. So here I'm just going to bring this back over. And now anything you see up here, all you have to do is just click. If you want to see the remit to information, you click the button, and then all your remit to information will be unhidden for you. You may have to scroll over, and I'm just using the scroll bar here at the bottom. You can scroll over and scroll back. Just click your original view button. If you wanted to see dollar amounts, just click dollar amounts, and you can see what that gives you. Just like we showed on the subtotal by button, it has your POs outstanding, paid this year, and then taxes withheld. So I'm going to scoot back over here. I'm going to hide those dollar amounts. So you can just go in and mess and see what all we have information for you. One thing I'd like to show you, I think is a really neat thing. Say you wanted to see all the information for, say, this 21st Century School Supply. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to do the show vendor form. So it will show you your vendor name, your vendor number, the federal ID number, and then your main address, your remit to address if you have information here, any e-procurement information you have listed, your hub code, your county code, and then down here we have some of the dollar amounts for you. So it's an easy way to see the information that we have coming in on the master vendor list on all the data, but this is a very good way to see the data. So I'm going to return here. So let's do it on for imprint here. So you just click on the one that you want. You don't have to be in the vendor name column. You could be anywhere, as long as whatever row you're on is the one it's going to pull the information for. So I'm going to say show my vendor form. Here I've got for imprint. Here's my vendor number, my federal ID, and my information. So that's a pretty nice view instead of having to look across the spreadsheet. And then I just wanted to point out that when you're in any of our spreadsheets, or particularly this one, say you wanted to filter for vendor, let's say you wanted to do ones that had the word supply in them. Let's see. I can't type. Supply. And it would show you all the ones that had supply. And then maybe you wanted to see the ones that said company. Okay, and if you're in a later version of Excel, you can simply click and say add this to my current filter. It says add current selection to filter. So my current selection is company. Okay, so I'm going to add it to this selection here. And when I do, now I have all my vendors that have either the word supply or the word company listed for me. And of course you can use it for anything that you want. I'm going to click my filters on and off here, and you'll notice how my filters are gone and now they're back. Another way, depending on your version of Excel, you can click beside any filter. In this case, you can click text filters. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did a different way in case you don't have the latest version of Excel. Okay, I could say I want to see everything that contains, I'm going to say the word supply. Oops, well, P-P-L-Y, or if it contains the word company. And I'm going to say OK. So this will give me the same result as I had before. There's 10 rows showing here, and there were 10 rows showing before. So that's just another reminder of how to use your filtering and all when you're in our spreadsheets and you're looking for a particular item. So now I'm just going to come here. I'm going to click. Here you can always use this. You can clear your filters from the vendor name by using this option, and it'll just bring everything back. So I just wanted to show you how to what's available to you in our master vendor list, especially the show vendor form, so you can see all the information in a very concise way. So thank you for watching this video on our master vendor list.